Alright guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today. For this one, we are going to do another out and about video for you. So today I'm in Berlin once again. I popped down to Berlin to see Halloween, Hammerfall and Blind Guardian play, and I thought we would have a look at some of the other Brauhauses that I didn't manage to visit last time. So the one that we're going to have a look at today is Brauhaus Spandau, and Spandau is of course in the kind of northwestern part of the city. So we'll do as we always do, we'll go in, we'll have a little look around, we're going to have some food because I'm pretty hungry, and we'll try a few of the beers. But I hope you guys enjoy this one, and let's just see how we get on. Alright guys, so yeah, just a little quick look at where we are. This is part of a hotel from what I understand, but we'll find out more when we go in and sit down and things. But yeah, quite a nice little area. There you can see they've got a menu card as soon as you walk in, but we'll have a little closer look at the menu once we get inside. But this, I have to say, is quite a nice entrance, and yeah, I know it's open now, it's lunchtime and I'm hungry, so this is going to be good. But yeah, let's go in and have a little look at Brauhaus in Spandau. Alright guys, so I went in and had a little look and spoke to the staff to ask if it's okay to film, and yeah, it is a pretty cool little place this actually. So yeah, when you come in you can see they've got the daily special chili con carne, could be quite good. But yeah, you can see they've got little bits of merchandise and stuff here you can buy. These things are of course very common, the take home Mitnehmerflasche, if I remember the German word correctly. But yeah, this is pretty cool. So as soon as you come in, you can see you've got your brew kit up here, the lovely copper kettles and things like this. Yeah, this is a Kasper Schultz brew kit, of course, which is quite famous from the Bamberg area. And yeah, you've got all this lovely little bit up here. So yeah, it is pretty awesome, I have to say. So yeah, through here, if you come round here, you can see they've got their Gärkeller, which is where they let some of the beers mature actually. So I'm not sure how well you're seeing that because of the light. Let's try it from this side. There you are, maybe you can see it a little bit better there. I think the light's just playing silly buggers, but yeah, it is pretty cool. They've got this room here, which obviously at the moment is not in use, but yeah, again, it is pretty awesome. Yeah, so if you come back this way, you can see the beer garden. So yeah, out here, this is pretty nice as well. I'll probably come and film out here because this is pretty cool, I have to say. But yeah, the bar itself is very nice and very German. I think we'll go up here. See this, you can get a 5-litre party tap as well. So yeah, you can see, pretty awesome bar. We need to see what kinds of beer and things they have. But yeah, you can see some of another part of the restaurant through here. This is pretty cool actually as well. So yeah, I think this is the kitchen obviously through here where they pick out all the food. But yeah, this is pretty good. So I think in that case it is about time to beers. We'll see if we can get a little look at upstairs later, but I think it's about time to get some beer and choose a place to sit. So let's do this. But pretty awesome bar. Alright guys, well I found a quiet spot and I think it's time to sit down and have a look at our first beer. Now it turns out that Brauhaus in Spandau is actually quite new. It was only really started in about 1994 as part of a kind of local regeneration. There's a little bit about the history in the menu, so I might film that for you and let you just have a little look at that yourself. But yeah, they've been doing quite well since the early 1990s. It turns out as well that they only have 2 beers at any one time. So they have their year-round beer and also their Jahrzeit beer, which is like a monthly kind of seasonal beer. So yeah, this is the first one that we are going to look at, of course. So this particular beer is called Havelbräu, It doesn't say what percentage it is, and it was just described to me as like a cloudy blonde beer, this one. So yeah, I suspect that it will be a Helles lager beer, but we'll have a taste of it and see what we think. So when it poured, it was given to me with a half finger, or just about a 3/4 finger of a frothy, I would say cream coloured head. You can see this one has that lovely kind of natural Brauhaus haze to it. But yeah, I would definitely say a sort of pale golden straw colour, this one or two big bubbles sticking toward the side of the glass, a few little ones just going up toward the bottom of that head there. But yeah, it does look very, very nice, I have to say, and trust me, this is needed. I spent quite a wee bit of time on the S-Bahn to get out here. There probably was a quicker way to do it, but I just saw Spandau, went on the S-Bahn and went for it, and yeah, I was pretty thirsty when I got on the train. I didn't realise how long it was going to take, but yeah, it looks good. As you can see, lovely haze behind this one. Remember, the colour of your beer depends on the type of malts that you use. That's going a long way to determining your EBC rating. The length of your wort ball is also going to play a role. The longer you boil the wort, the more the sugar's caramelised, thus you get a darker colour of beer. Adjuncts and barrel aging will affect it too, but when it comes to these kind of, what I suspect is a Helles lager, you don't really have to care about that so much. But yeah, it looks very, very nice, this one. Let's have a wee look at the aroma and see what we have. Oh yeah, that's very, very nice. Yeah, just going by the aroma, pretty certain this one is just it's a Helles lager beer, this. So yeah, I love trying these little Brauhaus beers in Germany that you're not going to find anywhere else. Yeah, this is going to be pretty nice. But yeah, you can see there is the Brauhaus im Spandau symbol there. You can see it's just an outline of the building, actually. But yeah, it looks absolutely great. It smells absolutely great too. So yeah, backbone of this beer then, it's got a lovely little bit of a fresh kind of white bread crust in there. Lots of fluffy white bread, of course, as well. You're not really getting kind of crispness as you might get with Pilsner malt with this one. It is more kind of soft and bready for me. There's a little touch of a kind of McVitie's digestive biscuit, something like that. Yeah, on the malty side I think it is really nice, and the more that you smell of it, the more the bread kind of sweetens up. It smells really, really nice. I love, you guys who have watched the channel for a long time will know I love the Helles beers like this. Yeah, but you get a nice little bit of that kind of fluffy yeasty note, maybe a little bit of a kind of Jacob's cream cracker as well. But for me, this one is all about it's really soft, white bready backbone that this beer has. On the hoppy side of things, it is very nice. It's got that lovely kind of hoppy, that lovely German brightness to the hops. So I suspect it'll be Hallertau or Tittnanger. That would just make sense. It's a bit hard to tell actually between the two in my experience. But yeah, you've got a lovely soft little bit of earthiness in there. There's a wee bit of a slightly herbal note to this one. Yeah, there's a little touch of herbal character in there, a little bit of floral note, but for me, the green component really leans toward a sort of soft, grassy character. Yeah, that goes together very, very nicely actually on the hoppy side of the beer. For me, the fruity side of things, it's, yeah, the fruity side of things is kind of as you would expect for the style. There's a little bit of an almost sultana type thing in there, like a dried sort of white green grapey note. A little bit of apricot, a little bit of dried apricot, maybe a wee touch of a kind of oily pear or something like that. And I don't know if you could stretch that to say just a little bit of a kind of fresh green apple. But aroma-wise, this is very, very nice. It's been a while since I've drunk one of these beers from Brauhaus in Germany, of course, so I'm just enjoying it, taking it in. But yeah, I think it is about time that we have a taste of this one and see how we go. So yeah, this one is the Havelbräu, the year-round beer from Brauhaus in Spandau, here in Spandau in the northwestern part of Berlin. Let's get stuck in. Slange, Skål, cheers, Prost. Oh yeah. Yeah. That's pretty damn solid, I have to say. It's nice. A thumbs up from me, and you guys know I love these traditional German styles. So easy to drink this one, and it's very smooth. It has got a wee bit of crispness to it actually, but at the same time, smooth, nice little bit of crispness, lovely little touch of fruitiness there, and just a nice kind of a nice quite bright green component. Yeah, certainly wouldn't hesitate to drink this again. I'm probably going to need another one of these before I look at the other beer, so we'll do that. Yeah, so let's just break down the flavour for you then, as we always do. So middle of your palate, backbone of the beer is a lovely kind of, you do get a little bit of that fresh hedgehog, white bread crusty sort of thing. That's forming the backbone of the beer, but on top of that, you've got lots of kind of fluffy, just fresh white bread in there. Toward the back of that middle third of your palate, you start to get a wee bit of crispness out of the out of what's it'll be lager malt that's in this, of course. But yeah, you get a little bit of crispness there. But as you come further forward on that middle third of the palate, mixing in with the bread, you start to get a little, Jacob's cream cracker type note out of this one. You get a little bit of that in there. And then on top of that, you start to get a little bit of sweetness out of the beer. You've got a little bit of a kind of biscuity type note to this one. If you go into the dead centre of your palate, you can feel there's a sort of McVitie's digestive biscuity note. And as you move further out towards the extremities of that middle third of your palate, you start to feel the more kind of grainy aspects of that biscuit too. It's a very straight shooting beer, this one, but it is very, very nicely done. And the whole idea behind these beers is that they are just supposed to be easy drinking. I do suspect that this one is a Helles Lager. This I don't think it's an ale. It feels, from experience, it just feels more like a Brauhaus Helles Lager, but with the kind of cloudiness and kind of haziness, and sort of, you're getting a good bit of yeasty character out of this one as well. It actually reminds me of some of the ones that I had in the Czech Republic, actually. So yeah, back third of the palate then. It's kind of similar actually. So in the back third of the palate, the bread crusty base gets a little bit grainier. On top of that, you can feel there's a taller sort of white bready note, and it actually feels a little bit more dense on the back third of the palate, which is interesting. Then on top of that, you have got the more yeasty characteristics coming out of the beer, so a more airy, fluffy white bread, but with a little bit of a crackery, almost slightly woody flavour to it. But yeah, back third of the palate, the flavour feels a little bit taller, and as you come into the middle third of your palate, you can feel it just squeezes, it just condenses down a wee bit actually. So yeah, that's definitely there with this one, but the malty side of this beer is very, very nicely done. Let's focus on the hoppy side of things then. So yeah, back corners of the palate, lovely little bit of smooth earthiness in there. As you come further forward, you get a wee bit of you get a little bit of a herbal character, and as you push forward toward the front corners of the palate, it just gets a little bit more floral. Not spicy and floral, it is quite bright, but I will say that round the front curve of the palate, the more and more that you drink of this beer, it actually gets a little bit more zesty, and there's a nice wee kind of, there is a nice little bit of zestiness to the grassy character as well, which I really like. But yeah, it works, it definitely works. Yeah, green component of this is really, really nice. Let's look at the fruity side of things then, front third of the palate. Yeah, so front third of your palate, you've got a lovely little base of white bread there, but on top of that, it's kind of, the fruity notes are quite similar to what I was picking up in the aroma. So at the back of the front third of your palate, you get a little bit of this kind of sort of sultana. Yeah, there's a little bit of a kind of sultana type, yeah, sort of white grapey dryness there, sultanas I would say. As you move further forward, it gets a little bit more kind of, you get a bit more of a kind of oily pear and a little bit of a dry apricot-y note, and as you reach the very front tip of the tongue, there's maybe just a very, very light little bit of, there's maybe just a very light little bit of lime there, mixing in with the kind of grassy, the grassy esters on the front of the tongue. But in terms of an easy drinking Helles lager beer, this one, I really like it. Yeah, it's awesome. Gets a big thumbs up from me. Mouthfeel then to round off. Yeah, I mean, for me it's top end to light bodied, bottom end to mid bodied. the kind of yeasty characteristics that you get in this one, the fact that it's a Brauhaus beer, does give it that little bit more body. But yeah, it goes down very, very nice. This one, lovely, big, smooth, almost slightly creamy mouthfeel out of it. So yeah, great stuff. So yeah, that's it for me. On the hoppy side of things, I would say this one's probably about 20 IBUs, somewhere in that kind of region. Malty base, as we said, it is really, really bready. There's a little touch of sweetness to it. The sweetness comes out more the further you go into the aftertaste. And yeah, you've just got a little bit of that dry, fruity character. But the fruitiness, in fairness, has a little touch of oiliness to it. But yeah, I think this was really nice and just a straightforward, easy-going beer, this one. I like it. So yeah, this was the Havelboy, the year-round beer from Brauhaus in Spandau. Impressed with that one. Nice, easy drinking. I think I'm going to need to have another one of these and get some food, and then I'll have a look at the other beer a bit later on, and you'll see why we have to leave the other one till a little bit later. So catch you guys in just a second. Alright guys, well, let's have a little look at the menu for Brauhaus Spandau. As you can see, they've got a lovely picture on the outside of this, of the building, and you can see it's in English too, which is nice because my German is pretty damn rusty, I have to say. I would like to actually come to Germany and spend a year, travel around, film videos for the channel, and just, you know, learn German properly. I just kind of learned while I was in Heidelberg. Didn't actually study the language properly though. But anyway, it tells you a little bit about the history inside here. So it goes back to the 1880s. It was a military laundry. It also served as a bakery at one stage as well, and it was destroyed. The building was destroyed during the Second World War. But it talks in this little section about how the building was kind of renovated in the early 90s. A group took over ownership and started a brewery here, and then the brewery opened in 1994, and today they're brewing around 1900 hectolitres per year, which is 190,000 litres, if I'm remembering my units correctly. But yeah, we can have a little look at the menu now. Of course, in Germany, this would be Speisekarte. It's quite interesting reading these English menus, because when you see some of the translations, they are you know, word for word translations from German, so you can see it in the grammar and things. That's just me being a bit of a language geek there. But anyway, you can see they've got two different kinds of breakfasts here. A few different soups and things, soljanka, goulash, you can't really go wrong with those. Currywurst, yeah, that's always a good thing to have in Berlin. Spandau Laut, meatloaf, the brewmaster's plate, that kind of caught my eye actually. Big course bratwurst, the roasted pork knuckle, Würstel Parade, Kasseler Back. These are all pretty good. I mean, the prices are, you know, quite reasonable actually. You would be looking between about 12 and 15 euros for a good meal in Germany with the place. So, you know, that's roughly, you know, you add on about 10% to get the dollar and take away 10% or so to get the pound sterling. So you guys can do your own calculations. But yeah, a few different salads and things down here, Vienna, sausages and stuff like this. A pretzel, we are going to have a pretzel because I love my pretzels. And yeah, a few soups and things. Kartoffelsuppe, which is one of my favourites in Germany, the potato soup. You've got schnitzel, of course, classic schnitzel for 18 euros. Yeah, a vegetable strudel as well. But yeah, over the back you have lots and lots of different drinks. The beer price is actually pretty good. I mean, €4.80 for a 0.4 of homebrewed, well, Brauhaus brewed beer. I think that's pretty solid actually. So that's about 48 Swedish kroner, somewhere in the region of like £4 sterling, maybe about $5.25, something like that. So yeah, the Spezial beer of course is slightly more expensive, but what can you do? But yeah, they've got a bunch of hot drinks and cocktails and stuff like that, wines, sparkling wines, stuff like this, but of course it is mainly these beers that we are interested in. So yeah, the other thing that was given to me by the staff here, who've been very nice, they gave me this to have a little look at. These are the Spezial beers for 2022. So you can see in January they had a Spandauer Potts Blitz beer. That sounds quite interesting. In February it was a Rot beer. In March it was a Märzen. April is a Festbock. May is a Maibock. June is a summer beer. Then they have Mondschein beer. I don't know exactly what that is. But yeah, then in August it's the Spandau Porter. Then in September it's the Spandauer Fest beer. Then the Herbstbock Moranator for October and November, and then the Weihnachtsbier. So yeah, I think it is actually for this month. It is. They've still got the porter on at the moment, so I'll need to ask them if they have the Fest beer as well. But yeah, should be quite interesting this. But that is a little rundown of the menus here at Brauhaus im Spandau. So let's see what else we can get in this video. So yeah guys, some must-do things when in a German Brauhaus. A little bit of Kartoffelsuppe, and we also have a nice fresh pretzel. So let's have a little look at these and see how we get on. Alright guys, so as you saw, I've got a nice fresh pretzel and some Kartoffelsuppe. Kartoffelsuppe was one of my favourite things to have at Kulte Brauerei and Vetters when I was living in Heidelberg and studying there. So whenever I see Kartoffelsuppe on the menu, it's kind of a rule that I need to have it. So yeah, there we go. That's interesting, this one. This one's a little bit more sort of peppery than some of the other ones I've had previously, but I like it. It's not quite as thick and creamy either. Some of these Kartoffelsuppes can be very, very sweet, very, very smooth and things, but this one is definitely lighter and slightly more kind of peppery and things, but still very, very good. Still quite hot at the moment, right enough. Yeah, but it is good. Let's try a wee bit of the pretzel as well. This is fresh, you can feel it's warm. Yeah, that's good. That's nice. Got the good balance between saltiness and just breadiness too. But lovely. And of course it goes down very well when you've got a nice Helles lager to go with it. Yeah. So let's try a little bit of the pretzel with the soup, because this is the way to do it, really. I don't know if the Germans do it this way, but pretzel and potato soup, just lovely, absolutely lovely. So here we go. Yeah, that hits the spot. I was going to have like a proper big meal. We do have schnitzels and things, but the thing that's catching my eye with the menu are some of the Spandau specials, so I might have to try one of those rather than having a schnitzel just now. But what I can say is the pretzel and the Kartoffelsuppe are very nice, so this might just serve as a starter. We might have to do some more food and then look at the other beers a bit later on. So yeah, the food, I have to say the Kartoffelsuppe and the pretzel are very, very nice. So yeah, let's leave it at that for the moment and we'll come up with something else in just a second. Cheers. So yeah guys, normally I don't film in the bathrooms, but I did think these were pretty cool. So yeah, there's the penis envy, the having a hug on the bog, constipation, it's like a Soviet general or something, you know, crossing hoses, yeehaw, I've got a big gun. And then, yeah, oh, you're not what I thought you were. Have to say, I thought these were brilliant. Love it. So yeah, some humour in Spandau. There you go. Alright guys, well, it's time for our second and unfortunately final beer tasting here at Brauhaus Spandau. So yeah, this should be quite interesting actually. So the beer that we're going to have a look at this time is the Spandau Porter. So this is kind of unusual because of course Germany has the Schwarzbier or black beer as it would be in English, but Brauhaus Spandau have decided to brew a porter which finds its origins in England. So yeah, they actually do have a little card thing here that tells you about the Jahrzeit beer itself. So there you can see the Spandau Porter. I should also point this out as well. This bird guy that you can see is called Kolke, and the guys behind the bar were telling me this is just the brewery's mascot. It's not anything related to Spandau or anything like this, but you know, when you look around the brewery there are different pictures of Kolke doing different things. But yeah, basically this card tells you in German about the origins of the porter. You know, it started, you know, the 20th century and so on. It talks a little bit about the 19th century as well. And yeah, this one apparently is brewed with a Brettanomyces yeast, which should be quite interesting. They've also got this bit on the back about the actual brew process and things in German, which is quite cool. It tells you about the Gärkeller, which you saw earlier on, so for the very young beer before it's put into the fermentation tanks, which are just over there. But the area of the brewery that is straight in front of me where I'm sitting is actually called Kolke as well. But just to show you a few other things, there is Kolke dressed up like a Roman, I guess, or a Greek. There he is as an American. There he is with these Oktoberfest stuff on. Are there any more? And there's a couple of Kolkes in a tree, so there you go. But yeah, that's Kolke, the brewery mascot. But anyway, back to the Spandau Porter. Again, I don't know what the percentage alcohol of this beer is, but yeah, when it poured, it had a finger of a frothy, I would say, kind of fawn-coloured head. You can't see so much in the way of carbonation with this one just because of the colour of the beer, but you can see that it's a lovely sort of ebony rosewood colour. There are one or two big bubbles sticking toward the side of the glass, a few little ones going up toward the bottom of the head there, but you know, overall it looks pretty nice, and this is pretty much what you would expect from a porter beer. You can see the glass a little bit better in this one compared to what you could with the Helles beer. So yeah, there you can get a proper look at how the glassware looks on this one. But yeah, I have to say, it is very, very nice looking, the glass. But yeah, the beer looks very good as well. I don't think we need to say anything else about the appearance of this one. This is exactly what you would expect from a porter beer. So let's have a look at the aroma and see what we have. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, you can definitely smell the difference in this one being an ale rather than a lager. So remember that a lager beer is a beer that is fermented at a colder temperature. Yeah, lager is fermented usually between 8 to 12 degrees Celsius, whereas an ale is fermented usually between 15 to 18 degrees Celsius. Although in fairness, they do have some tanks over there that I'm guessing will be at room temperature. So that's making me think a bit, maybe the last beer wasn't actually a lager, maybe it was just a kind of blonde ale. But regardless, it was very nice. But yeah, with this one, the aroma, it's very subtle, but it kind of gives you everything you would want. So the backbone of the beer, you've got a lovely little bit of a kind of, you do have a lovely little bit of, you know, brown bread, toasty bread crust in there. On top of that, you've got a little bit of an almost wholemeal rye bread sort of thing. This is interesting, this one for me, because quite often when you have the English porters or English stouts, Irish dry stouts, whatever, they normally have a little bit more of a roasty character to them, whereas this one is actually very, very smooth. And I've always found, going way back to when I started the channel, I've always found that German beer is very, very smooth in its characteristics, but as I say, that's just me. Yeah, so I'm actually, the more and more that I smell this one, I'm starting to get more kind of sweetness out of the malt base. There's a little bit of, as I say, you've got a little bit of brown bread crust in there. You've almost got a little bit of German rye bread character to this one. There's maybe a little hint of a kind of cocoa nib, you know, in there, like a sort of dry cocoa chocolate. You know, 70%-ish cocoa chocolate. Some nice brown sugars as well. They do have a little bit of leatheriness to them, which is quite interesting. So that should tell you something about the wort oil in the beer, because of course the longer you boil the wort, the more the sugars caramelise, and quite often they give you a bit more of a leathery sort of thing. So I'm getting a little bit of kind of leathery brown sugar out of this beer. There are one or two little nutty and woody notes as a result of that in there, two little undertones. But yeah, rye bread crust, rye bread, a little bit of cocoa nib, and some lovely more kind of leathery brown sugary notes coming out of this one. Yeah, I think that covers the malt base in this. On the hoppy side of things, yeah, I'd be very curious to know what hops they've used in this beer, because, you know, the German Northern brewer that is normally used in Doppelbocks and things would probably be quite suitable for this beer. But yeah, you've got a lovely little bit of earthiness in this one. Definitely some herbal character, but you can tell from the grassy and floral side of this beer that I'm pretty sure this is German hopped, because the green side of this beer smells quite similar to what we had in a way from the Havelboy. That was really nice. So yeah, you've got quite a bright florally note in there. You've got a good little bit of grassy, zesty character as well. But yeah, aroma-wise, it is very, very nice. On the fruity side of things, this one's actually got quite a little bit of red fruity character. I'm getting a little bit of kind of black currant out of it. I don't know if I would go as far as saying like sharper raisins, but there's a bit more of an oily kind of plummy character to it. So yeah, oily, a little bit of an oily plum, some figs, some black currants, and maybe a little bit of a sharper black berry on the front of the nose too. But like I say, not so sure about the figgy side of things. So yeah, as I say, this should be quite interesting because it's a German brewed English style beer, and that's one of the fascinating things that's going on with the German beer scene just now, is that many more traditional brewers are starting to try styles that they would not have produced before. So yeah, I think we should have a taste of this one then and see how we get on. So yeah, this one is called the Spandau Porter. I don't know what percentage it is, I'm guessing it'll be around 5%. But yeah, let's have a taste of this one and see how we go. Slange, skål, cheers, prost. That's very nice. You know, it's interesting. The Porter is a style I don't get to review all that often now. You know, when it comes to the more American style beers, the Swedish breweries are all brewing you know, big imperial stouts and things like that. We don't get too many Schwarzbiers or Dunkels in Sweden or Denmark either. So to try a porter is quite rare, and at that, to try a German porter is very, very interesting because it gives you everything you would want in the flavour profile. But I find this one, I actually really quite like this one, I have to say, and I think this is very nicely done. So thumbs up to Spandau Brauhaus for this. Now, the more that I drink of it, the more oily it becomes, which is quite interesting, but at the same time it has that German smoothness behind it. Yeah, this is very good actually. The strange thing is, when you look at the plan, it is actually supposed to be the Spandauer Fest beer that's on at the moment, because we are into September and we're on the 9th of September. So yeah, it should actually be the Fest beer, but it's not. But I'm not complaining, the poster's pretty good. I did ask them if they had some Fest beer that I could try, but apparently not. But as a porter beer, that is very, very nice. So let's break this one down for you. It's actually one of these beers that turns out in the flavour as you would expect from the aroma. So middle third of your palate, then you've got a little bit of a roasty, toasty bread crust forming the backbone of the beer. This one, it does have a little bit more kind of roasty black malt to it than the aroma would have you believe, but on top of that you're getting some nice German rye bread for sure. Then you start to get a slightly lighter wholemeal brown bread on top of that. But in the middle of the palate with this one, on top of that, that's when it gets quite interesting. So down the middle line of your tongue, you get this nice big, slightly caramelised, kind of leathery brown sugar note. Toward the front of that middle third of your palate, you get a little bit of a nutty, slightly woody character to the beer. But yeah, as you move further back on the middle third of your palate, there's definitely more of a kind of grainy, brown bready sort of thing going on with this one. But yeah, the flavour profile on this is it's really nice, I have to say. I do like how it goes together. The more that you drink of this, the more kind of sweet and sort of smoother and leathery you get, so that is quite interesting. But I think that covers the middle third of the palate. So if we go into the back third of the palate, you've got a little bit of a more kind of, in the base of the back third of the palate, you can feel the bread crust is a little bit drier and a little bit more roasty. On top of that, you've got a slightly taller brown bready note to this one, the kind of rye bread there, so it feels a little bit more airy and grainy. Then on top of that, you can feel there's a little touch of the, there is a little touch of the kind of, how would we say that? You've got a little touch of the more wholemeal brown bready kind of character coming out of this. Then on top of that, you can feel the more airy yeasty notes, and that gives you a little bit of a slightly more woody almost slightly farmhousey type character. So again, I like that. So yeah, the back third of the palate on this beer is very nice as well. But yeah, back third of the palate, you can feel the flavour is taller, and then as you come further forward, it just squashes together that little bit more. On the hoppy side of things, though, the green component is quite similar to what we had before. So yeah, a little bit of earthiness in there. As you move further forward, it gets a little touch herbal, and as you push toward the kind of front corners of the palate, it's a little bit more kind of floral and things. And then around the front curve of the tongue, it's a little bit lighter and more grassy. And I would say that the green component is a little bit more oily in there, but it still has the kind of zesty and floral notes that we were picking up in the other one. Let's look at the fruity side of the beer then, front third of the palate. So, front third of the palate, the base of the beer is definitely a little bit more. It is definitely a little bit more kind of sweet in its brown bready characteristics underneath, but on top of that you get that nice oily bubble where the fruity esters come out of the beer. So toward the back of that front third of your palate, you get a little bit more of a. You do get a little bit more of an oily kind of plummy character there, but then as you come further forward, it starts to get a bit more black curranty, and then on the front tip of the tongue, it's a little bit more blackberry-like as well, which I do enjoy. But the fruity side of this one for me is quite oily. It's not really so sharp, but it is quite nice. So to me, when I think about this beer from a stylistic sense, it sort of has that typical German smoothness to it, and it feels a little bit more full, if you like, than some of the English porters that I've tried in the past. I haven't tried all that many traditional English porters when I think about it, but I certainly like the German take on the style. So again, this gets a thumbs up from me. Yeah, just to round off then with a wee look at the mouthfeel. So yeah, for me that's a mid-bodied beer. Carbonation is very, very smooth. It has a nice little bit of creaminess to it. Yeah, again, it's that German Brauhaus smoothness, as I always call it. Maybe the Germans that watch these videos laugh when I say that, but to me, German beer in the Brauhaus is always very, very smooth. In terms of IBUs, I think this one's maybe about 30-ish IBUs. You're getting a bit of bitterness from the malt and from the hops in this one. The malt base, like I said, is very, very smooth. Got a little bit of dryness to it the further you go into the aftertaste, but it does give you a sort of leathery sweetness after, and you've got some nice red, oily, fruity characteristics from this beer. But yeah, I think this was very, very nice, and I enjoyed trying it. So quite cool to try a German porter. I think maybe I've tried 2, maybe 3 German brewed porters before this from Brauhauses and things. But yeah, it's always a nice experience to try, to try foreign styles of beer that are brewed in Germany, because the brewing expertise here is so strong, and then when they have a go at other beer styles, it can be very, very interesting. But yeah, I think that's everything we need to say about this beer. So yeah, this was the Spandau Porter from Brauhaus in Spandau. Unfortunately, we're only getting to do 2 beer tastings in this video, so that's why I did them a little bit longer. But we'll see what else we can get out of this one. I might have some more food, but I'll catch you guys in a second. Cheers just now. So yeah guys, when I came in, the upstairs obviously is closed, but I was told I could go up here and film a little bit and just let you guys see what it's like. So yeah, if you come up here, you can look down into the brew kettles and things. Apparently, they sometimes have a DJ in here to play different music and things like that. But yeah, this is the kind of top floor. It's pretty cool. Young girl there's working hard to get all the glasses and stuff out, but I've been sat filming just over there. But yeah, this is pretty cool. I love coming into these sort of places that are just so small, just really small companies, and trying beer that you'll not get to try anywhere else. But yeah, just awesome to visit these places. And of course out here they've got another little terrace that you can sit in, which is kind of cool, and there you can see down into the beer garden once again, and there's the big chimney. So yeah, awesome stuff. I think we're going to have something else to eat in just a second, so yeah, let's head back over there to my table. Yes. Alright guys, so I was feeling a little bit peckish again after having had some of the beers, and I thought we would need to try something that was local. So this is the Spandau Laut. We've got some potatoes from the pan, a little bit of bread, and a nice big sausage and some ketchup. So let's dig into this and see what we can do. Alright guys, so let's have a little look at this Spandau Laut and see what we have. So first off, we've got a nice little bit of bread. You know, I've said in so many videos on the channel, I miss the German bread. I don't know what it is they do different in Germany, but yeah, just love it. Okay, so I've ended up with 2 knives. A fork, that would help. Okay, so let's see what these potatoes in the pan are like. Oh yeah. I always like these little, you know, really thin potatoes that you get in Germany. They're always just really, really good. You've got a nice little bit of herbalness in there. It's almost kind of crispy, but kind of soft in the centre. If you haven't tried potatoes like this, you really need to. Yeah, really good. And so now, we'll come on to the big sausage. And the woman, when she came out, she's like, oh, don't eat the metal ring on the sausage. So yeah, we'll get rid of this first so there are not any incidents. So I did that, the 2 of us laughed when she said that. So we'll get rid of that at the moment so there are no mistakes. But let's have a wee look at the sausage. We'll see what it's like without the sauce and then with the sauce. Yeah. So without the sauce, it's quite like a sweet, slightly smoked sausage. Like, I don't know, obviously it's not smoked in the German sense, but if I think about it from the Scottish perspective, the sausage, it really reminds me of the smoked sausage you get in the chip shops back home. But yeah, from what she told me, this sausage comes from a local company, so it's a very local Spandau sausage, so that's pretty cool. And that was the main reason I wanted to try this, because it was something that was particularly local to this area, this district of Berlin. But yeah, put a little bit of ketchup on it. And yeah, it's just as good. So yeah, this is quite nice to try like a very, very local speciality in a place like this. Yeah, so if you get the chance to come to Brauerei in Spandau, you can have a local sausage, and you can't go wrong. Germany, pork and beer, it's pretty awesome. But yeah, I think that's everything we need to film for this video inside the bar. I'm going to enjoy the rest of this, maybe do a little bit of work, and then I'll let you know my final thoughts on the brewery at the end of the video. So I will catch you guys in just a second. So yeah guys, just another little perspective on the building there. There you can see Brauhaus just beside the tree. I'm not sure how well you actually saw this in the other parts of the video, but yeah, you can see it quite well here. But yeah, quite a nice little area. But yeah, that is Brauhaus in Spandau. Alright guys, well that is my time done then here at Brauhaus Spandau in Berlin. So yeah, I had a really nice time here this afternoon. I sat for maybe 4 hours or so. I tried the 2 different beers that they had on tap. I got to try some of the different foods and things, and it was really good. In total I spent about 45 euros, so that was for 3 Helles beers, 1 Porter beer, and then I had the meal and I had the soup and the pretzel as well. So all in all, not bad. You saw the prices on the menu earlier on. But yeah, the beer was really nice. I enjoyed the Helles beer. The dark beer was very nice as well, but of course I only drank 1 of those. But yeah, I had a really nice afternoon here in Spandau, and it was cool to come and see another part of Berlin that I hadn't seen before. So yeah, jumping on the train out here isn't a bad bet, so I would recommend that you have a look at it. You've got a really nice, quite quiet Brauhaus here, and you know, sometimes you just want to get away from the crowds and the busy places when you come to visit a city like Berlin. So Brauhaus Spandau is definitely a place that could be worth checking out. But yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed another little out and about video. This one was a little bit different from what we've done before. I do wish that we could have tried maybe one or two more different beers from these guys, but yeah, very nice to jump on the train and come out here nonetheless. But thank you again for watching. Check out my social media. I'll put some of the Brauhaus Spandau social media for you in the description below, and make sure you check these guys out if you find yourself in Berlin. But yeah, we will see if we can get another Brauhaus video done while I'm here. There are one or two that I'm thinking about going to, so we'll need to see when they're open. But thanks again for watching. Catch you guys very, very soon. Make sure you check out Brauhaus in Spandau in the western part of Berlin. Slange, Skål, cheers, Prost.